Okay, we'll try again. See if it works this time. Anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess. Anyway. It's anybody's guess. What's going on? I'll tell you. We'll see what happens. Anyway. Hello, everybody. It's take two. It is take two. I'm going to put the cat away. Okay? Let's do that first. Let's put the cat away. And then we'll go from there. Curl up in the window. You know, there's some days where a person just can't listen to a Siamese cat unless he's behind a closed door. Anyway, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I restarted the computer and the system, so we'll see how we fare this time. Yes, Race says he's coming home before too long. He may have to come home sooner rather than later. So anyway, welcome to everybody. I'm not going to go through the hellos and everything again because we did that already. But welcome. I'm Barb Owen. It's Drama Free Friday. I hope. Maybe we should rename it. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here, everybody. Life gets crazy sometimes. You just have to learn to roll with it. Roll with the punches. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to happen around here. But we haven't known what was going to happen around here for about 2-3 years. So what's new, right? Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. Just saw your name pop up in the chat. Anyway, okay. So the last several weeks, I have been working on a soul support doll. I'm going to switch cameras and see if we can make it work. Okay, there we go. All right. So Monday night we worked on her a little bit more and then talked about journaling and so forth. In case any of you don't know, I am streaming most Monday nights. Maybe not all, but most Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's not a guaranteed thing, but most of the time that's what I'm doing. And then Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. So, yes. So anyway, this is what we've kind of been working on off and on. And so I thought I would just show you her progress. This is known as a soul support doll. That is the name that I've given these dolls. I've made many, many of them, and they're just a form. They're just a fun kind of a doll. They're just a form that celebrates thinking of somebody that needs a little extra something. And so this is her neck piece. I'm going to go ahead and come in real close so you can see. So this is the neck piece that I've given her. I at first was going to have this come down a lot further, and I decided I really liked it up under her neck, so I did that. But that's what happens when I'm working on these dolls. They just sort of evolve. I added a wing, a feather, and a heart charm to the charm underneath, which is also in a heart shape. And this piece, this part of this was already done. This little cluster of beads, I had already done those. She has an earring on this side, which again is a bead charm that I created from crystals and a bead. And this side is a copper spiral that I did and then hammered. So I created, a lot of this stuff I just had in my stash for ages, and then a little jingle bell. So she has asymmetrical earrings, but that's what I like. And then on the back where I put the ties, I added a bead and tied a knot and then glue so that the bead gives the ties a little bit of weight, and that will help you know, it just embellishes a little bit more, but it gives some weight to those ties so they don't just float around. And that's as far as she's gotten at this point. So she's beginning to get her, she's beginning to come into her own. And so I don't know when she'll get finished. But she will at some point, you know what I mean? She'll get finished at some point. So she's going to go over here to the side somewhere. And as I get her finished, I will show her to you, okay? So one of the things, or what I thought we would do today, I was poking around looking online just to see what I could, you know, something to jumpstart my own creativity. Sometimes you need that. And I thought my eyes happened upon these. And I'm sure that many of you have these. If you don't, maybe you should get you some because they are, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. Anybody know what these are? Hey, Ellie, good to see you. Hi, Sandy. Anybody know what these are? And Sue Connor says she hasn't made it here in a minute. Yeah, I understand. I just saw that. Nobody knows? Bingo daubers. Sue wins. They are bingo daubers. Yes. So what we're going to do with the bingo daubers is we're going to make a kaleidoscope. We're going to see if it works. I don't know if it works because I've only opened one of these. They are bingo daubers, and I've only opened one. They are ink of some kind, and I thought they had a whole package of them, 13 of them for, I think it was $18 on Amazon, of course, because where else would you buy? I don't even know where else you'd buy bingo daubers. I've wanted some of these for a long time, and when I saw them in the colors, I mean, look at the colors. Look at the colors of these. I'll come in so you can just see look at those. Aren't those pretty? And out of 13, one color is repeated, and it's this one, this purple. I don't have any idea why they would give you two purples of that color, but anyway, the reds are very similar, although they have different names. This one is ruby red, this one is red, and this one is magenta. So anyway, I thought we'll just crack them open and see what they look like. First of all, they do look like silly string. I know, they're really cool. They also come in metallic. I didn't get any of those. I just got these. All right. So I'm just looking for a page in my sketchbook. This is an old sketchbook that I was using for something else. And so I thought we'll just crack this open and we'll just test out the daubers, shall we? All right. This is sketchbook paper. It's a very lightweight. The ink will go through, I'm sure. But, you know, let's try it. Okay, so we're going to put the reds together. Red, orange, yellow, green. We'll put the pink with the reds. Blue. So we'll do blues. And then we'll put this purpley color. And so we'll just kind of put those out like that. Okay? And Laura says, those are very fancy bingo daubers from someone who used to call bingo games at our volunteer fire department. Very fancy, huh? All right, so they come a dauber top, okay, just like, you know, some of the Tim Holtz products have a dauber top, or did have, I don't know if they still do, a dauber top, and then to get the ink flowing, you have to push down and you'll see the ink start to come down. So I've opened one of these and that's all. So there's that one. Okay, so we'll just give it a good smush, as it were. All right, so that's rose pink. Let's label these so that we know what color they are. Okay, rose pink. Maybe it's rose or pink. Anyway, this one is a magenta, so all of these are new except for the purple one. Now this is purely for the purpose of figuring out what the colors look like. Magenta. They do kind of look like Posca pins. Rich people daubers. Yeah, this one is ruby red. I've seen people play with these in the past. I just had never gotten them. And I saw them and I thought, I honestly don't know what made me think of them, but I think I actually even searched for them. For what reason, I have no idea. I just thought they'd be fun. They're something I've never had before. And I thought we ought to be able to play with them and do something with it. This color is red. The original names, by the way. Such original names. I don't have any DAR. I don't have any wedding photos. They're all online in a website, and so I don't have any. Otherwise, I'd share them with you. I would, but I don't have any. So that color was orange. It was a fun wedding, though. Oh, Dar, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you, Dar. That is a pretty yellow right there. And it's called yellow. Okay, so there's yellow. This is just called green. Ann says if you're gonna play bingo, you you need to have some good luck statues surrounding your work area. Maybe that's what happened here, is I forgot to get out the good luck statues here, Ann. That's why the gremlins gave me a fit to start with, huh? Okay, so that's green. This one is aqua or turquoise. The colors are pretty, aren't they? I will say that the ink comes down into the dauber top very quickly, so that's good. And I realize that I'm kind of making circles with them. However, you can just touch them down and get nice circles, which is what we're going to do in a minute. Okay, this one's blue. Okay, that's a pretty blue. Look how pretty those colors are. Blue. Yeah, the good luck wire crystal. I know that still is kind of a wild thought to think about. This is the only one I'd opened. This one is purple. Yeah, I did. Found that right beside my car. I sure did. This is purple. And this one is violet. And so this is violet. Now those are some pretty colors. I did, when I was looking at the sets that were available, and this is Daba ink. Okay, that's the brand, Daba ink. Original since 1962. There are other brands of daubers, whatever you want to call them, on the market, but this seemed to be the one that came up the quickest. And there was another set of the of these, there were 24. This was a set of 12. So it was 12 individual colors, or it was a set of 13. Sorry, there were 12 different colors and then one that was repeated. The purple was repeated. There was another set that had like 24, but it wasn't 24 different colors. It was, I think it was two or three, two of each color and three of one color or something. So, odor, we'll see. Hi, Signa. Has kind of an alcohol smell. Yeah. So they're used to play the game of bingo. That's what they're for. All right, so here is what we have. And so we'll look at the following page. So they do kind of go through. This is very, very thin. This is sketchbook paper. So they do kind of go through. They are wet. So it is wet. We're going to hit them with a heat gun, see if we can dry them up a little bit. Now we had a great idea. Sorry, my throat is a little goofy today for some reason. Noe says she puts them on glass, sprays with water, and then puts paper on top. So she pulls prints from glass. That's a great idea. Great idea. So that's an idea too. Noe, do you get yours at your cheap store? Is that where you get yours? Warner's Grand said she used these in the classroom for students who couldn't hold or use writing utensils so they could mark their papers. Oh, nice. So they came from the cheap store in Israel. That's great. Okay, so this is water. Let's spray this with water just because I want to see if they're... Now, the pen is water reactive, clearly. And I just want to see what is going to happen with the water, you know, and the ink. I wanted to see if it was water soluble to some degree. So they are leaching out a little bit with the water and fuzzing up a little bit. So they are somewhat water reactive, not super water reactive, but there is some water reactivity with these. I don't know if they're alcohol reactive. They do smell kind of like alcohol. So I'm going to guess that they're more an alcohol-based ink. But I don't know. Hi, Tracy. I really don't know because this is the first time I've even opened them up to do anything with them. So there you go. But those are the colors. And sprayed with water just so we can see. I don't have any alcohol in a spray bottle, or we'd spray them with alcohol and we'd see what happened. But I don't have any here, I don't think. Nope, I don't. Okay, so there's that. So what I thought we would do with these is we would create a mandala, because you know how much I love mandalas. And I thought we'd play with that idea and make kind of a, what I'm going to call a kaleidoscope mandala, okay? Because you got to call it something. Hello, Deborah. Good to see you. So we're going to take a quick look through some of the mandalas that I have. My body is just making all kinds of interesting reactions today. So far I've had, that was a hiccup. My throat's kind of goofy. Don't ask me. I tell you, the gremlins. Oh, you watched the old, Rhonda said she watched the old video about the spirograph. We should get that out and play again. I love the spirograph. That's another great tool. The spirograph, which is a kid's toy. Yeah, bingo daubers, you know, let's just play. Kind of that's the concept. Let's just play. So I thought we'll go looking back through some of the mandalas from days gone by. And then we'll get out a new one. So this is in the 8x8 Diane Reevely Black Journal. And so these are from some of the different classes or books that I've done. So I thought I would just leaf through these. These have been done on a different piece of paper, then cut out and attached into this journal, both of these, and then embellished further with pens, moonlight pens. So I thought we'll just leaf through some of these. These are from some of the books of patterns that I've written. Hello, Carol. Oh, cool. Barbara Clark said she finally posted a flip of her mandalas from the first class and even before. That's great. Some of these were even originally colored by Clausman. This was one I think he did. You'll notice that there's some stuff around the edges that's just from some of the pen work over here that's transferred, which I don't worry about stuff like that. I just enjoy having them in the book where I can see them, and I like them on black because it makes the images pop so much more. So some of these are from different books, different classes, and so forth and so on. But these are all mandalas. All of these are designs that I did. This is a technique done with oil paint or acrylic tube paint and a folding technique. Signa made spirographs today inspired by the old YouTube video. Oh, cool. That's neat. Sometimes it's fun to just look back through them, and because I haven't looked at these for a while. This one is made from the symbols from the designs from the deck. So those of you that don't know, this is the inspiration cards deck, and so there are 48 cards in here. Probably may have used some of these, I don't know, because I use them all the time. But these are all mandala cards from, you'll see some of them used in here. From the Mandala Madness cards, there's a quote on the back side. Each one of these has a word, positive word. Each one has a quote and then also a suggestion for something, a prompt to use with your mandalas, or you can use them in art journaling or whatever else you'd like to do. Well, there's a book of designs from the deck that come from this deck that come with the cards. It's a downloadable book, and there's several pages in the book of symbols from the deck. You can find a link to the cards in the description box below the video. Anyway, that's what these are. These are the symbols that I cut out and then created a mandala with those. And this was a page that I had ripped out, and this has a jelly print background behind it. This is jelly print stuff, and then I put this mandala on top of it. I'm not sure why I put that on there, but you know, you never know. This was one I drew. This is a mandala that's drawn on old text paper. And this is super thin, super old, and no way for this to hold up to adding media on top of it. So these are copies. So I scanned it in my computer and then color copied it. And this is the same one, turned. You can see how it's turned different ways. And this was one I did on a canvas that I sent to Race for a birthday or something, I think. But this is actually a canvas, so this is just a printed on the copy paper. The colors are not accurate, but you know, you get the idea. This one is done, if Martha Seeking for Art is here, I don't know if she's here today, but this is a technique that she showed a long time ago using crayon. This one's alcohol ink. There's a mini course that comes with the Mandala Madness cards. There's a mini course that comes with this, and so this was something that I showed. The alcohol ink technique was something that I showed in that, as I recall. And let's see. This is done on music paper with crayon and Inktense pencils, I think. It's been a while since I've done these. These were all done with alcohol inks. These are done with the color, the background color is from the cardstock. YouTube bounced you out. Aw. Thank you, Signa. This is another one done on music paper with a glaze pen. I don't know if you can see it. The background is, or the line work is shiny. That's a glaze pen. This one's done on black cardstock, and it's done with black cardstock, and then all the design work is done with Moonlight pens. So there's no other color. Same thing on these. These are Moonlight pens on colored cardstock. And this is the same mandala, mounted, done differently and embellished a little differently and so forth, but mounted on two different colors. So you can see the difference in what the background does, how it affects. They're essentially the same colors, but how it affects the overall look depending on what you mount it on. Let's see. Some of these are only temporarily put in here. This is the same technique from the one I showed a minute ago with the crayon and Inktense. When I do a class, there's always multiple samples of the same thing, which is always a challenge for me. This one's done just with graphite and one color. I don't remember what this one was done with. Too long ago. This was we did this on stream. This is a dream catcher. Okay, so this was a dream catcher. Cut out the center. This was another dream catcher that we did. We drew. That was inspired by a stream from Clarity Stamp. Same thing. This is the same thing. This is a dream catcher. So these two and this one are the same, but those are all drawn. Those are not copies of each other. So each one was drawn individually. This one was done with chalk pastel, as I recall, water-soluble chalks. I'm looking to see if I can find. I thought I could put my hand on them, but I can't. But I think that these are water-soluble pastels, chalk pastels. And then heavily embellished with pens. I really loved these. I really like those. All right, let's see if there's any others. I don't. Oh, here's one. Oh, here's another one. Okay. Oh, there are more. Okay, this one is we did in the VIP group at HowToGetCreative.com. The green is cut. So that was folded and cut and then embellished with pens. Same thing here. The aqua part is folded and cut and then embellished with the pens for the background. Mounted and embellished. This is the same thing. So the gray has been, this is origami paper that's been folded and cut and then mounted, which is easier said than done, by the way. mounted on the background and then embellished after that. And this one, I don't remember what the purpose of this one was. I'm sure I was demonstrating something, but I don't remember what. That's why I have to take extensive notes on things, because if I don't remember what it was that what the purpose was. Here's another one. This is done with glazed pens, so you can see it, how shiny it is. So this is glazed pens, and then once the glazed pen was dry, then I went over it with metallic pigment powders, perfect pearls and stuff like that, to make the design show up. Here's another one, same thing. This is more of a doodle kind of thing with the glazed pen. Everything on there in black is done with glazed pens. And then once it dried, then I went back over it with the metallic pigment powders to make it show up. You can see how shiny it is. That's from the black glazed pen. And I think that's it in here. So that's what's in this. I do love the black journal and the square black journal in particular, for housing the smaller mandalas like that. Yeah, the metallic pigments really make a big difference. Here's some other ones. This is for another class that hopefully is going to get finished at some point here before long, but I have learned not to make promises, because keeping promises right now is a great challenge. It's a great challenge. Anyway, so I'll show you these, the before and the after. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this at all, but you might be able to. Hey, Jan. Good to see you. Jan, by the way, Lady True North Jan, thank you very much for the Christmas card. I don't know that I ever responded to you, but I really appreciated it. The online one was beautiful. As always, Christmas was just pretty sticky for me. So thank you. And thank you for the illicit liquid and tuna fund top up. Thanks, Jan. Okay. So this one, I don't remember exactly what the background is. Probably acrylic paint, but I don't know. And if you look, if I get it tipped in the light, do you see it there? You see the mandala? This is drawn. So I drew that with a clear pen. Can you see it? Hopefully you can see it. And then I went over the top of it with probably watercolor, but I'm not sure. I have notes somewhere. This was one where I was just playing with the idea. You can see the mandala in the background. So this was pretty detailed, and I scrapped it because it was not coming out the way I wanted it. And this is another one done, and I'm tilting them on purpose so that you can see the design work. So I think they're done with watercolor, but it's been a while since I did them. Anyway, so that's part of a class coming up. So there's that. Here are some of the other ones that I've done. These are by no means all of them. Hi, Sarah. These are by no means all of the ones that I have done. But I thought I would just show you some of them. I just grabbed a bunch out of my basket that were downstairs when I was working on things. So here's another one. I really like to start on a background that's not a flat background. And so that's where this came from. This one was one that was a bunch of, let's see. This was some of the different designs from one of the pattern books that I've done. And the purpose of doing this on a sheet like this is so then I can copy this, print it off or go to one of the copy places close by my house that does laser copies, which I don't have a laser color copier. And then I can print these off, and then I can cut up the copies and make cards out of it. So the work is done once in this case, and then I can cut it up, make copies and cut it up. This one is done with a collage of security envelopes. Okay, so this is security envelopes, different patterns, and then the mandala is drawn on top of it. And because you have the different patterns of the different envelopes, it affects the color. Even though each round is one color, like this green in the middle, that's one color. The blue is one color, but the different security envelopes, colors and patterns will affect the way that it looks. This was a Christmas mandala from several years ago. I don't know exactly when, but several years ago I did this one. And this is another one that I used on the Christmas cards. This one was pretty heavily embellished with pins. So when I hold it up here, you can get a look at the background colors are fairly simple, but this one was all about the pen work and the embellishing. And if I hold this up for very long, you're going to start seeing all of the imperfections. But when you back it down and you look at the entire piece, you don't see all of that. And then this one was the one that I started for this year, which I had every good intention of getting finished for this year for Christmas, but I did not get it finished. So there you go. But what I have in the bag here is all of the colors of pens that I was working with to do the embellishment, and that's what I try to do. If I have a set color palette, then I try to keep those, you know, as I am developing it, I try to keep those supplies together so that I don't have to try and guess where I stopped, because often I do get interrupted with things. Sometimes I just interrupt my own self, you know, because sometimes you know, you've heard the thing. Sometimes you sidetrack yourself. That's been known to happen. And so I often, knowing that about myself, I just put things together and, you know, keep them together as best I can. Okay, so those are some of those. Now, by this point, our bingo dauber samples should be dry. They are basically dry. So you can kind of see that there are some water reactive qualities in some of these, which means that you don't want, now the pen is clearly water reactive. That pen that I used is a Pilot G2. And so it's clearly water reactive, but actually I kind of like it when things do that, where you get that, you know, spreading effect by hitting something with some water and you get that spider web kind of effect. I like that. Anyway, so you can kind of see that it's going to have some reactivity. And so that means if you're going to carry your artwork out in a rainstorm, out in a spring rain, out in a whatever, if you're going to spit on your artwork, you're going to get some reactivity. Okay? All right. All disclaimers have been made. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. Shall we make a kaleidoscope mandala? We won't get it done, but we'll start it. How's that? Does that sound like a plan? Sound like a plan? So I have two different pieces of cardstock here. And one of them is very heavily textured. This is old cardstock, And this one has like a linen texture, linen weave. I don't know that you're going to even be able to see that, but it does have a linen texture. This one is smooth. It has like a lace effect on the top. It has a pattern on the back, which is going to try to come through a little bit. My tendency is to work on this one because I think this, with it having that texture, is not going to work very well. I think we're going to work on this one to start with. This one may be fun to do at some other point, but let's just start on this one, okay? Hello, Janice. Bye, Signa. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. All right, so I have, this should be 12 by 12, but you know, if it is, great. If it isn't, I'm not going to worry about it because I often cut them out of whatever the sheet is. I often just cut them out and mount them on something else. So we're going to just give ourselves, I'm going to do this fairly darkly, much darker than I would do these guidelines, much darker than I would do them if I was going to use this as a piece of, as an example or an intentional piece of art down the road. We're just playing today. So I'm just going to give myself some guidelines. Which may or may not be totally accurate, but when you're doing something on stream, you just kind of have to go with the flow anyway, right? Can't get too wound up in perfection. Perfection is highly, highly overrated. All right, so I've sectioned it off into 8 sections. That's the easiest one to do. Hello, Peggy. We'll see if my compass is going to cooperate with us today. I love this particular compass, but sometimes it gets a little ornery. So we'll see if it's going to work for me today. Just going to give us some guidelines, not anything like what I normally would. I'm just going to give us a few. This is not an expensive compass, and therefore sometimes it has a mind of its own, kind of like a lot of other things around here. All right. And that's as many as we're going to get. That'll give us enough to kind of get going, okay? All right, dauber time. So let us start. Now the daubers, because they are pretty, the ink is transparent. Okay, the ink is pretty transparent. All the guidelines that I have on here are going to show through the ink. And so that will just be the challenge down the road to embellish it enough to cover up all of the pencil lines. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to start with whatever I pick up. And we are just simply going to build it from the center out. And I'm not going to color them as I did here. I drew kind of a circle. On this, I'm just simply going to see if the yellow is going to show here. Maybe. So we're just simply going to dab them. as they're intended to do out in the what these were intended for, which was to be used as bingo daubers. Okay. Okay. And then we may do okay. So we're building this, thinking of it as a kaleidoscope. So I'm going to hit this with a little heat. One of the reasons that I liked the concept of the patterned paper underneath is that hopefully we're going to get some patterning showing up through. You can see in the yellow one, you're going to see some of the pattern from the paper coming up through the ink as it's drying. So that should be kind of fun. See what it does. All right, let's pick another color. Let's go to how about orange? Or as my son used to say, orange. All right. Let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's go. And this is like any other mandala. It is a matter of make a choice and then repeat around the circle. Okay? Just make a choice and repeat. Okay, we're going to make this one a little, just to try to get those to connect a little bit more. Okay. All right, so we've used 4 so far. Alrighty, let's go to a, let's use one of these reds. How about ruby red? Hey, Becky. You do have to be a little bit careful with red on some of your uses in your art, because it's a short trip between a beautiful red and looking like a bloodbath has taken place in your artwork. So you do have to be a little careful with that. It's a weird phenomenon that happens there. Okay, let's repeat this purple again, because we can. So I'm noticing that in order for me to have any ability to judge placement, I need to kind of turn the paper so that I can look at it from the side, not from the top. So I'm discovering this at the same time as you guys are, because I have not done this before. You guys saw me crack these open to see how they were gonna look. So we've got some purple going on here. Okay, let's use this other. That was violet. This one's purple. Hi, Alicia. Hello, Raul. Welcome. Yep. Ink daubers on Amazon. That's where I got them. This was a set of 13, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, a set of 12. There are 11 colors and one was repeated. Yeah, listen to me. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's not unusual. Okay, so let's give it another splat. You can also draw with these. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with these. I think they're well worth playing with. It's one of the less expensive art supplies. Of course, if you have to pay for shipping, you know, that's a whole other issue. Okay, I'm going to repeat yellow. My goal is to try to use all these colors, but that may or may not happen. So let's come back to, I love this yellow. Boy, it is transparent. Yes, it is. But then yellow tends to be that. Yellow is a funny color. Most of you know that Claus Man was a contractor and he hated yellow, working with yellow. Because if you had yellow walls that you wanted to cover up, it was almost impossible to cover yellow paint. You had to prime it and all kinds of stuff. And he hated painting yellow because yellow wouldn't go over anything either. So you couldn't cover it up and you couldn't go over anything. Yellow was not his favorite thing at all. All right, so this one is aqua. So let's see what we can do with some aqua. All right, make a decision and repeat it. Don't get too fancy. Just make a decision. Repeat as you go. And then make the next decision and repeat, okay? Kind of like painting with gumballs, isn't it? Isn't that what it looks like? Okay, let's use which color is this? Magenta. This is magenta. Okay, let's use some magenta. The other one that we used was ruby red. So let's use some magenta now. Okay, so let's come out here and let's do this one. I like the fact that they have some texture. So not only is it having the texture from the scrapbook paper, the patterned paper show up, but also just the way that the ink splats down on the page. Gives you some texture, which is pretty cool. Okay, so we got that. And it is, I think it is ink, so it's probably going to stain your hands. Which I didn't put anything on my hands to get rid of, but if you have Amadex, the cleaner Amadex, that will take it off your hands. If it's truly ink. All right, let's go back to this one. This blue is really beautiful. The paper is warping a little bit. So I'm just giving you, and it is splatting a little bit. You know how some of the paint markers splat? This is splatting a little bit. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I just find that interesting. Okay. So how about let's pull the orange out. It does look like gumballs, doesn't it? Really does look like gumballs. Okay, let's come here. So once I get this on here, I have a couple stories to tell you. Well, they're not necessarily stories. They're just fun things to tell you once I get this here and let it dry. I think you will enjoy. One involves glitter. We all know, if you've been hanging around me for any length of time, you know exactly how much I hate glitter. Glitter and confetti. Oy, yeah. So I'll tell you, one involves glitter. Okay, so we have that. Okay, now let us, let's see, what else do I want to do? I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying it the way it is, and then do the embellishment from this point. This guy is all by himself. He does not like being all by himself. We got to connect him to something, at least to one more here. So let's connect him to something right here, and let's use, this ruby red, which is what we used earlier. Yeah, I'm going to connect you to this. Yeah, so if you want to hear a glitter story, hang on, because I'll tell it to you in just a minute. That'll give this thing a chance to dry. Bingo daubers. Who knew that bingo daubers could give you a chance to draw yet another kind of mandala? Yes, when you think that I have come up with all the mandala ideas that there are to be had, I can assure you that you are wrong. You're wrong. You are so wrong. All right, let's look at it from a distance. Okay. It's got possibilities, folks. It's got possibilities. Yes, it does. All right, we're going to let those dry. Okay. So last night, this is to let this dry. Last night, I get a video from Race. Okay, those of you that don't know, Race is my son, and he's been redoing a house that they're going to put on the market. I am going to doodle, but it's got to dry. So I get a video from him, and he's painting a garage floor. It's the last thing he's going to do in this house. He's going to paint this garage floor. And so the first video says, I think he painted it gray, starting to paint it gray. And he goes, the first video was, it was all, taped off around the edges. And everything was ready to, I guess he'd cut in around the edge too. Okay, so he's ready to roll the color on the garage floor. Some kind of special epoxy paint or something. And he goes, next up, a cool party trick. And I'm like, a cool party trick? What's he talking about? Right? I'm surprised he's not here. I figured he'd be here and giving me a bunch of grief about this today. So, well, hey, Tam, thank you. Happy Friday to you. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Hi, Morgan. Nice to see you. Yeah, so he says, next up, a cool party trick. So I'm doing something and I get another video from him. And he opens this, he has a bag of something, and he says, and he's holding the phone that he's video creating the video with the one hand. He's got the bag in the other. And he goes, "You're going to love this. It's full of glitter." And I'm like, oh, no. No. Glitter. It was full of glitter. It was a bag of glitter. So it was for this epoxy floor paint, which I remembered a friend of mine did something similar on their garage. And so, but to listen to Race, whom I don't know how many of you know how serious he is most of the time. He's a pretty serious person. So to hear him with the phone in one hand and he's reaching into the glitter and he's tossing it onto the wet paint and he's going, "Whee!" And he's getting sore and he's going, "Whee!" And this, you can see this glitter go up and then just flutter down and land in this wet paint. And I'm like, I mean, I'm having heart palpitations, you guys. I'm having heart palpitations because the glitter is going all over the floor. And, and then I'm like telling myself, it's not my house. It's not my floor. It's not going to track in my house. It doesn't matter. I don't care. And he's having the best time taunting me by tossing glitter, because he's literally tossing it in the air and tossing it across the room, and it's hitting the wall and it's and it's the worst idea ever. It's the worst idea ever. I'm not kidding. Worst. And so then, because he can't do the whole thing or he can't get the glitter over where it belongs. I mean, it literally is for this purpose, right? He says, "I'll be back." And so he comes back in a little bit and he's put on more paint and he's going, "And now time for glitter." Whee! I'm like, you gotta stop. This is killing me here. This glitter thing is killing me. Anyway, I can't wait to see it till it's done. But he sent me like 4 videos of, throwing glitter in wet paint. Ugh. I mean, ugh. I know, it was glitter. Oh, it was awful. Ugh. It wasn't pink. I think it was gray. I know, Andrea, right? It was just awful. It was just the worst. The only thing that would have made it worse is if he'd had confetti and glitter. Ugh. Yeah. Glitter and confetti are the herpes of any craft space. Okay. So, story number 1, glitter and Barb's heart palpitations and being tortured by her son. Ugh. It was terrible. Oh, it was terrible. You see, Kellyanne loves all her glitter and bling. Not me. Nope, not me. I do not like glitter. I don't like confetti. I told him on Monday night, I used to be a leader with Weight Watchers, and my district manager loved to send letters to all of us. And she would send us a letter once a month, updating on us on whatever the current, edict from Weight Watchers on high was. And she caught me on the first letter. I opened it and confetti went everywhere in my house. And after that, I opened every letter over the trash. She thought it was hysterically funny. I thought it was just so annoying. I can't even tell you. It was just so annoying. It was so bad. Anyway, so that was the first story. Hopefully I will get finished pictures of this garage floor so I can see how tremendously great it really looks. And I want to know that it's not going to track inside the house. God, I can't imagine. Oh, anyway. So the next video I got was from my granddaughter. This was all last night. It was a very entertaining evening. And so the next video I got was last night from my granddaughter and her little girl, who is now 15 months old. And the title of the video was that Emily had put on a pair of shorts. Indeed, she had. She'd found a pair of shorts someplace. I don't know whose they were, probably in the laundry. And she had put them on like a necklace. So she had her head through the elastic and one of the legs of the shorts. So she had it like an elastic. She's now walking really well. So she's walking around and she's discovered these wonderful noises she can make with her mouth that sounds like she's farting. And so she's walking around making mouth farts, wearing a pair of shorts around her neck. So cute. Oh, goodness. Last night was a good night for videos. It was a good night for videos. All right, let's go back and look at this. And I need to give it some more heat. And they do have these same, I believe, the same brand of bingo daubers in metallics, I believe. And you can see how this has come through, but this is not, this is a paper weight. This is, or a thin cardstock. So this is not very, doesn't have a lot of heft to the weight of the paper / cardstock. The colors look nice on this kind of muted background. I'm not a neutral person. I bet you didn't know that, but I'm not a great neutrals person. Some people really love neutrals. Not my thing. Not my thing. I like color. But a neutral background is okay, right? Okay. I know, right, Peggy? Oh, she's just the things that they say. Okay. So, you guys, I got to get some pens. So, you can look at my background here just a second. I got to get pens. My basket O pens here. All right. Let's see let's see what we got here. I love color. I let myself live in a world of gray and neutral for a while, and I'm not much on gray and neutrals now. Although I do like black. I do like black, and I do like white. That they really help with the mandalas. So black and white do work really well. But I have this one packet of Jelly Roll pens that are all shades of gray. I didn't really mean to throw them. I don't know that I have ever really used these colors. They are open, but I don't think I've ever used them very much. Not my thing. Okay. And the glaze pens take a little while to dry, so we're going to sort of put those off to the side as well. Okay, I have the Moonlight pens here. I never know what I'm going to use. I never know what I'm going to like, so I just pull out a whole bunch of stuff. And then we'll see what happens, shall we? I'm just looking at my pen choices here. Okay. Okay. I've narrowed it down to 2 pins at the moment. So what I have here are all the, not all of, but I have several packets of Moonlight pens by Jelly Roll. The advantage with the Moonlight pens, and they do have to have this on the Moonlight, and generally they have either a little moon symbol, or they will have this, this is also a little moon symbol with a color number. They'll have that on that to indicate that they are in fact Moonlight pens. If you have those, that means they will show on dark and light backgrounds. Okay? I made a blooper. What did I say? Oh, Lord. It's hard to say what I said. What did I say? All right, we're going to scoot in. Apologies to anyone if it was offensive. It never meant to be. I never mean to be, but sometimes it comes out. All right, so let's come in here, and you know, one of my favorite things in the whole world are, I don't know that these are going to show up. The other thing with the Moonlight pens is you have to let them dry to come to their full opacity. So we're just going to play with them. Thank you, Roberta. And it's a good idea to have a piece of paper handy so you just, you know, scratch off the color, just to make sure that the pen is flowing. All right, and if it doesn't show up, like this color that I put on there, it's not necessarily going to show up on that purple so well. We'll go back and we'll fix that in a little bit. One of the things that I love is I love these big loopy flowers, and so I use those frequently. I'm going to try not to use them consistently in this one. Let's go here. Remember the rule. Make a decision once, repeat it. Okay. Repeat it around the circle. And when I am working on a mandala, sorry, this is the hard part, is for me to talk and do this at the same time. A mandala is never done for me. I just go for it, and then it's, you know, I may come back and work on it in a year from now. And in this case, because it's off, that's okay. I don't have to make everything exactly the same. So one side may have 4 and one side may have 2. This is the kind of thing that I can get lost in for a very long time. And as many of these as I have drawn over the years, I always have to get going again. You know, I always have to get going again. Okay, and then you just let them sit. Just let them sit and come, you know, you can work on the next thing. I will come back to it. I'll kind of keep the pins separate so I kind of know what I'm thinking I want to do, and then I just go for the next pin, whatever it is, the next color. If I get tired of using the gel pens, I'll switch to paint pens. But I like to repeat designs. Okay. How many of you in the chat have actually ever drawn a mandala? Have you tried it? I think some people get very intimidated by the concept of a mandala. Sometimes people go, I don't see what the point is. You know what? When it comes to artwork and creativity, there doesn't have to be a point. Okay? There does not have to be a point. You don't have to ever use it. You don't ever have to do something with it. You don't have to give it away. It doesn't have to be worthy. It can just be something that you do because you want to just try it. You don't have to have fancy pens to do this. You can do this with a big pen or one of these, the Pilot pens, or a Crystal Star Bic pen. You do not, I mean, I've drawn plenty of these with nothing, with whatever I found. Have you tried them? Ann Laura took the mandala course and loved it. Cool. Sherry, Mama is learning, said she's tried it but not very good at. That's okay, it doesn't matter. Linda Patrick enjoys doing mandalas. Good. It looks daunting. Oh, it shouldn't. It should not. Hey, Miss Allie. You have, and it was fun. Good. Good. I know Barbara Clark has done mandalas. She's done lots of them. Elvis draws quarter mandalas in her face drawings. Oh, good. Raul does mandalas and Zentangle. No kidding. Therapy is a good expression. Indeed. All right, let's try this yellow. Since we have yellow in here, let's see if this yellow will show up. Sometimes this yellow is great, and sometimes this yellow is not so great. Okay, so let's see. Let's let's go inside the circle. Because these are not perfect circles, the daubs from the daubers, they're not perfect circles. So that means you can just play. Permission to play. Okay, so I'm going to make these messier. I prefer a messy line to a perfect line. There is no such thing as perfect, so might as well give that up right now. Okay, give it up. Okay, and then let's use another color. Let's use this one. The thing about the Moonlight pens that is deceiving is that you have to let them dry before you know what color they're really going to turn out to be and how dark they're really going to turn out to be. A little bit ago, I think it was Elvis, wrote something in the chat about that I made a blooper, which I don't know what it was that I did, but I'm not surprised. And that made me think of, you know, I wonder if someday, I hope Race never has the chance to do this, but I live in fear that someday he's going to put together a blooper reel of my bloopers. Because I am here to tell you there are plenty of them in the archives of recordings. Let me tell you, especially the very first things I ever recorded, they were just horrendous, and I was trying so hard to do a good job, and they were just awful. And I know someday that's going to come back and it's going to get me. Someday he's going to show up with a whole blooper reel and he's going to torture me with it. Terrible. Hi, Joni. He's working really hard right now on a house that they're trying to get finished so they can sell it. So he's been very busy for the last several months, that in combination with getting married. So he's been super busy. Anyway, okay. So now let's see what we want to do here. Let's do, I think I want to go to, maybe we'll go to this, let's go to this blue color. Okay. And now, let's see, what do I want to do here? Okay. So he's been busy doing his own life, and for their honeymoon they went to the Philippines for several weeks. And then at Christmas time they were in New York for a while. So he's been a busy guy. Hang on just a minute. I have a text I need to... Okay, sorry. There was a text that came through I thought I needed to deal with, but it was not. It was a good one. Okay. One of the things that I really like to do is I like to what I call bead the line. So I will give myself a line and then I will bead it, which is just another word for putting dots on the line, which is similar to making it look like ball chain. And I like the way that that looks, and so I frequently use it quite a bit. That way your line doesn't have to be so perfect. The dots don't have to be perfect. But as I said, you make the decision one time and then you just repeat it until it works for you. This morning, I ran into our volunteer, our hospice volunteer, who worked with us and helped me quite a bit during the last several months of Clausman's life, and I hadn't seen her for months. I saw her in the grocery store, and we stood in there and we talked for the longest time. She was such a wonderful help. You know, every once in a while you just get one of those unexpected blessings where you just... I'd been thinking about her and she said, "Oh, I've been thinking about you so much." It's like, that is so cool when that happens. And then you just run into each other, you know. It was great. What an unexpected blessing that was today. Okay, so we have that done. Now we're going to go the opposite way. This would also, the same thing would also be great if you only did all of these same patterns and embellishments and all in black. You would have just as much fun with it in black. So you don't have to use the colored pens. You could just use a black Sharpie, making sure that the ink, the original ink layer, is totally dry. But I do love the Moonlight pens so much. I hope they never quit making them. I do like having the dauber. I love circles, spirals, anything that's kind of a round shape. I really like that in whatever I do. I like these big old loopy flowers. There's, you know, it's a grade school age kind of thing with the loopy flowers. I love those. I'm going to get out a paint pen here. See if I've got some Posca pen, see if it'll work for me. Paint pen. Every once in a while, your hand goes one way and your brain goes another. You know, that's kind of par for the course too, right? I think I told you this before, but one of the things that Claus Man did, I got him started drawing mandalas, and it not only did he enjoy it once he got his confidence up, but it improved his handwriting immeasurably, and he had terrible handwriting. It really improved his handwriting a lot. And but he would get frustrated at this stage of the doing the mandalas, because he'd say that he would run out of ideas, or he didn't know why it didn't look right. And so I would always ask before I would touch what he did, and I would say, is it okay if I work on top of what you have there? And he'd always say, oh yeah, because it's terrible. And so then I would just start embellishing more on top of what he had drawn. And he'd say, oh, it looks so much better. Why does it look so much better? It's like, because you just stopped too soon. So that's the thing that I find with when I do mandalas, is that if you stop too soon, that's when they have kind of a, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but they have an unfinished look about them. And it's because they are unfinished. They need more. So when in doubt, do some more. You know, that is my encouragement to everybody who gets into doing anything like this, is just get in there and do more. If you think it's not enough, if you think there's something wrong, well, that's okay. It's probably that you just quit too soon. And it is incredible what a few dots will do here and there to sparkle things up and to make your piece feel finished. Oh, you guys want him to do bloopers? No. Exactly, Dar. Exactly. Okay, so we've kind of got, something beginning to happen here. So let me go to, see if I can find a black. I organized all my pins the other day. Do you know that that's always a terrible thing to do? Anytime you organize stuff, organizing is just going to make you nuts. If you don't organize, you can't find your stuff. And if you do organize, you can't find your stuff either, because you don't know what you did to organize it to begin with. All right, so I've got some black Jelly Roll pins. So let's get one of those out. Sometimes my black Jelly Roll pins are great, and some of them, sometimes they're not. Okay, let's see if this one's going to work. You will find that one of the things you can do well is to do a dashed line around something, and that's going to make it look like the shape has been outlined. Okay? If you try to do a solid line around a shape, that's where often you get frustrated. Because trying to maintain line thickness and to go evenly around something, often you don't get the effect that you really want, because your hand, especially if your hand and if you eye-hand coordination is not great, then that can really get you in trouble. where if you just do a dotted line or a dashed line, it will give you a similar effect, but you know, you still get the impression of it being outlined, but you don't, you have less stress, and you have less chance of messing it up in your own mind. So I often use little dashed short lines to kind of emphasize things. Okay, so another thing I like to do is outline one side of a shape or one side of a line. That also gives something more definition. And I may work on the same shape, this little motif that you see here. You know, how many times have I worked on that? Several already. But that's part of what I like, because I like that by adding different colors and different lines and different strengths to the line, it gives them, it just makes it more interesting. And it gives it more definition, and I just like that. Okay, so let's come out here, and where I've used that scallop on the inside of these circles right here, on this one I'm going to use a different color. However, I'm going to use maybe this color. No, I'm going to use purple. I'm going to use the same motif as those scallops, but instead of inside, I'm going to use them on the outside. And then right here, I'm going to decide what I want to do. Maybe that's all I want to do, is just do that, starting where the little orange circles are. And some of what I want to do is to connect things to each other. The more that I connect things and the more they begin to have some overlap, the more complex the design ends up becoming, which is something that I really like. And if I get stuck, you know what? I will come back to my cards here. I'll come back to these and I will pull them out and look at some of the embellishment ideas that I have on the different cards, or I'll look on the back sides for the different prompts and things. To get, you know, ideas, because even I get stuck. As many times as I've done these, I can get my own self stuck. Okay, so I'm going to embellish these a little bit by putting a dot inside each one of the little scallop sections. All right, I'm going to add to this because I want to. To make those tie together a little bit more. And because this paper is warped a little bit, I'm having to hold it down with my finger close to the area where I'm working, because if I don't, the paper's going to bounce up against the pen and I'll get marks where I didn't intend to get marks. And if that happens and I get marks where I didn't intend to get marks, guess what? Design opportunity. You just don't, I don't let any of that stuff get to me. You know, when you go through some life-altering experiences, a lot of things get in perspective, you know. A lot of things get put right into some kind of perspective that you didn't even know you needed. So if any of you are new and joining me for the first time today, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. I broadcast on Friday afternoons at 2 Eastern, 1 Central, and usually on Monday nights at 8 Eastern or 7 Central. Monday evening, it's usually can be a little bit more relaxed than the Friday afternoon. I don't know. Friday afternoons are pretty relaxed too. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest about that. Okay, let's come out and look at it a little bit. So you begin to see how the circles are beginning to kind of, you know, do their own thing. And then because of the fact that I have the graphite lines out here, I'm just going to embellish that. I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to just add right on top of those graphite lines. I'm going to assume that they are indeed part of my design. And I'm just going to call them out and make them a lot more defined. Because when in doubt, dot. Just call them out. Emphasize them. Make them part of the whole. And that will connect things to each other. And this piece of whatever this ends up to be, I may leave as a whole piece like this, just keep working on it, playing with it until I get it finished. Or the other thing I may do is I may take the entire thing and cut it into small pieces and use this as a whole bunch of fronts for cards, for greeting cards. That's another option. So let's get out a little bit further so you can kind of see the whole concept. Do you see it beginning to come together? I hope. And then I will take other, as I look at it and go, okay, now what am I going to do? I may take this and begin to repeat the concept from in here. And then as that begins to take on a life of its own, it will start connecting this to each other section coming out. And so I'll just keep going and going and going. And so I'll play with circles here, and I'll come out here, and then I'll fill in some of the spaces in between. And I think this is really fun. I like this idea of daubers. I like the idea of bingo daubers. Do you? I think it's fun. I think it's fun. Hey, Dorothy. Hi, Connie. Yes, you can still get the mandala cards. I have like 2 boxes of them left. There's not very many. So there are some left, but not much. Not many. Sorry, my nose is running. All right, you guys. I'm going to call it a day here. Thanks for hanging out with me and playing with bingo daubers. We'll have to do some more stuff with bingo daubers. We'll play with those a little bit more, draw with them, and do some other stuff. I don't know what. I just thought it's time to get something new I've never used before and see what we can do with it. And it's got possibilities. Hope you guys have a really good day today. Hope you have a great weekend. My name's Barb Owen, HowToGetCreative.com. Check us out if you are interested in classes and courses. There's a whole bunch of them over there. I will be back on Monday, as far as I know. Unless something else happens, I will be back Monday evening at 8 Eastern. And, yeah, be kind to other people. Be kind to each other. See what you can do to be a blessing in somebody else's life. Okay? Just try it. You'll be glad you did. It makes you feel good, and it sure makes them feel good. All right. I will see you Monday. I hope. Have a great weekend. Remember to get creative today because you know it's easy. And I will see you before you know it. Bye, everybody.